Go. Going live. You are live.
Boa noite, guys.
Fala, gurizada. Boa noite. Tudo beleza?
Vamos começar a nossa transmissão, a nossa live com o Sachin, que é o indiano, um amigo nosso indiano que está lá na Índia nesse momento. Ele está entrando agora, acabou de nos avisar que está entrando aqui, está entrando ao vivo. Vamos começar também no Insta?
Quem é que está aí ao vivo com a gente? Good evening, Fábio. E aí, Jailson, beleza?
Teus.
Hoje a gente vai desenferrujar o nosso inglês por aqui.
Já
Tá na hora, tá na hora. Let's speak English, let's practice English tonight. Vamos
colocar aqui?
Vamos botar aqui no Instagram também?
Vamos. Estamos entrando ao vivo no Instagram também. Boa noite, gurizada!
E aí, galera?
Vamos começar a nossa live. Vamos conversar hoje com o Sachin, que é um amigo nosso indiano, que é nômade digital. Na verdade, ele tem um estilo de vida um pouco diferente. Ele trabalha, junta dinheiro, viaja, e durante as viagens ele vive como nômade também. Ele trabalha também durante as viagens. É muito legal o estilo de vida dele. Nós já conhecemos o Sachin há muito tempo e vamos conversar, bater um papo com ele ao vivo. Ele está entrando aqui. Deixa eu ver se ele já entrou. Não. Ele está vindo.
Tem dois participantes, acho.
Ah, aqui.
Agora sim.
Agora sim. Vamos ver.
Here we go.
Estamos entrando.
E aí, galerinha. O negócio é o seguinte, quem tá no Instagram, clica...
Hi, Sachin!
Hey,
How
Sachin!
are you?
How are you, mate?
Hey, guys.
Give me just a sec to... Let me just give a message for the Instagram guys here. Galera, seguinte, a gente tá fazendo a live focada no YouTube, tá? Então, a gente vai ficar com alguns minutos com a tela aberta aqui no Instagram.
Hello!
Mas as perguntas e tudo mais, a gente vai mandar direto lá no YouTube. O Sachin vai logar aqui também. No nosso Instagram, vamos ver se a gente consegue.
Deu erro.
Deu erro.
You are unable to join the meeting on Instagram.
Can you try again?
Send a request again, please.
Okay.
Galerinha, o negócio é o seguinte, quem tá...
He's watching.
Tá fazendo a live. Eu tava dizendo pra vocês, hein? A live vai ser no YouTube, galera. Tá? Tipo, a maneira como a gente vai interagir com vocês vai ser muito mais fácil a gente interagir por aqui. A gente vai deixar alguns minutos abertos aqui no Instagram também, para que vocês possam ver um pouquinho. A gente vai estar falando com o Sachin por aqui.
O link tá nos stories lá, tá? Da live no YouTube.
My name is João. Hello, João.
Vamos ver.
Yes. So I'm trying again.
You're trying again?
On Instagram.
Yeah.
Viu?
Go live.
Go live. Waiting
Connecting.
for Sachin. It's almost there.
Connecting. I guess it's working.
Okay.
Live.
Let me try to just...
Cool.
We can't see you here on Instagram yet.
Let's see.
Let's see if it works.
I don't know why Instagram is slow.
Not really.
Let's see. Vamos lá. Bom, vamos deixar conectando aqui no Instagram.
It's not working, but that's fine. We can just keep straight talking here on YouTube.
Vamos continuar aqui no YouTube. Acho que deu erro de novo no Instagram. It's still not working on Instagram. It's still not working. So I guess, guys, a gente vai continuar só no YouTube, tá? O link tá nos stories. Você tá tentando assistir. Vamos continuar só pelo YouTube, beleza?
Leia o bigodão.
Até mais. Beijo. We decided to keep just here on YouTube. Let's just do it here, okay?
Let's do it.
It's still not working. It's still not working.
Okay, I'm going to turn on.
Let me just turn the...
Okay, yes, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Okay, that's nice.
Cool.
All right.
Yes.
So, guys, this is Sachin. Sachin is a friend of from India. We met Sachin in 2014, I guess. 14?
2015. Yeah.
2015.
15, yes.
In Salvador, Bahia, where we used to live. We hosted Sachin through Couchsurfing for a month, I guess. And he's a great friend of us. So we invited him because he's a nomadic. He was actually. Now you are settled down in India, but you're still traveling a lot. But so yeah, introduce yourself for us, please, and to our followers.
Sure, no problem at all. We are talking together after, I think, a long time, and it's on YouTube Live in front of so many people. So interesting times now with technology and everything that we do on social media. So a quick introduction about myself is how do I say? Is it boa tarde or is it boa noite now? No, it's boa tarde. No, you say boa noite when you're. Yeah, so it's boa noite a todo. That's all the Portuguese I'm going to be able to speak because I have no practice of Portuguese now after I came back from Brazil. My name is Sachin Bhandari, and I work as a startup story coach. Basically, I'm trying to help startups and solo entrepreneurs get their stories right so they can help investors, they can get investors and customers. And I have experience of travel writing, of public relations, branding, and entrepreneurship. And I used to, before I quit my job, before I met you guys, before I met Rodrigo and Liani, I used to be in public relations for about 8 years. And in 2013, I decided that I will quit my job and travel the world at least for a year. And that is when, I started making my plans. I had saved up money for something like this. And I quit my job exactly on 25th November 2014. And I started doing this thing called the 12 Project, 12 months, 12 countries, 12 challenges. So I cycled in India. I took trains in India. Like I took 25 trains in 25 days in India. Then I went to Thailand to learn rock climbing. I went to Sri Lanka to do some journalism work. And then I, met you guys in August of 2015 when I came from India to Brazil. That was my longest trip away from home. It was almost 8 months. And I was trying to learn music in Salvador. Then I learned capoeira in Rio. I fought at a fighting festival in Peru on Christmas Day. Then I learned salsa in Cali in Colombia. Those were some of the best days of my life. I really miss those days. And then I kept traveling north to Panama, Costa Rica. So in Costa Rica, I got dengue. After that, it was a little too difficult for me to continue. So I decided to cut short my trip. My plan was to go up to the United States, but I decided to cut short my trip because my body and, mentally I wasn't as strong as I needed to be to continuously travel. And then I came back home. So during this time, I've been doing travel writing for Nat Geo, Mint Lounge, etc. But again, so that's the long introduction of who I am and what I do.
That's cool. That's really nice.
Really nice. Yeah. Sachin was the first ever nomadic we met.
Yeah.
First ever. We actually didn't even knew that this kind of lifestyle was possible at this time in Brazil, like 2014, I guess. Yeah.
2015.
And it was like the first experience we had ever with this kind of lifestyle. Lifestyle. So at that time we used to be like working as a normal jobs, working with traditional jobs, and travel and work for me was just like tiring stuff. Like my mind just used to think, okay, to travel can be just for vacation or
just for a short period of time.
Just like very quickly. And I never thought like, okay, could be a good lifestyle, that could be something that I would enjoy to do. and you kind of started to change our mind, you know.
Yeah.
It was really nice, and we actually didn't really understood how does that kind of career, that kind of lifestyle work, since we start to do that. Like we met you, and then we start to think, okay, but what if we do that in our lives? What if, but had no idea how to do that. So we start to travel. We went to New Zealand. We actually was planning to go to Canada, but we couldn't get the visa, unfortunately. But it's not unfortunately, you know, because it was really good, because it just like it sent us to New Zealand.
Yeah.
That just made us to like find New Zealand and find like the working holiday visa, which is a great visa to live Brazil. And I don't know, do you know if India has the same visa for New Zealand?
No, from what I know, I don't think Indians get that working holiday visa. I know of a lot of friends from Europe and friends from Brazil and elsewhere who get it. In my knowledge, I don't think Indians get that working holiday visa. But it's amazing, like, you know, when I met you guys, of course, you guys were working regular jobs, and you guys were pretty cool even back then. But to see that, you know, you quit your jobs together, you went out, you stayed in New Zealand, and you built this lifestyle and this entire community around Omundo trip. It's fascinating. I'm super, super inspired to see what you guys have been able to do. And I'm hoping that this time I can learn from you guys and also build a stronger community around what I'm trying to do.
That's really
cool. That's really nice.
Well, also, I don't know if you have any special question. We've been talking a lot, like at this time, what's happening with the whole world, and many people are thinking about to start working with the internet, to social medias, to work online. Doesn't matter if it is gonna be with a kind of regular job, just working online, or even you building your own company. And so it is a really good time to talk about that, because you've been traveling, working online, and then you came back to India to work and save money and keep traveling. And now tell us, like, what you've been doing by this past year. What did you do to earn money while you was traveling, and what kind of work you've been doing now?
Okay, so when I decided that I will quit my job and travel, I think 3 years before I actually did it. Like, I had a faint idea that I will want. I mean, I've had this idea since I was in college that someday I will quit my job or travel the world at least for a year and a half. So that was something that was really important to me. If I wasn't able to do that, I think I would be very unhappy with myself, no matter how much money I make and if I had a great designation in my corporate life. So around 2012, I started saving money, not really knowing when I was going to quit my job. But I was very focused on saving money on a regular basis. Like, every month I would make some investments. I continued to do that for 3 years. I had a financial advisor who was telling me how I need to save money and where I need to invest money. And so that was like the one basic way that I had some money for traveling. But when I quit my job, just before that, I mean, about a year before that, I also bought a house, so I had the monthly loan or the mortgage. I don't know what word you use in Brazil. So all of the money that I had saved up was going to be used for the mortgage every month. So which meant that I had to sort of force myself to figure out how to make money while traveling. The first thing that I did was, because I was in public relations, I had some understanding of what brands look for and what are they interested in. So I approached a lot of brands. I was in touch with Airbnb, and Airbnb was like, still very early days in India. They were only starting their operations, and I was able to speak to someone at Airbnb and tell them what I was planning to do. I was in public relations, so I knew how to get in touch with the media, make a good story, get some publicity for the brand. So they helped me out with some stay, like for instance, I don't know how much that comes up in money, but in USD, but they supported with me with stay. That was one. I also ran a crowdfunding campaign about the travel, about the 12 project, 12 months, 12 countries, 12 challenges. So a lot of people who knew me, friends of friends, they decided to participate. But again, all the Airbnb and the crowdfunding was still a fairly small part, about 20 to 30% of my entire trip cost. Rest of it was, of course, you try to bring the cost down by asking friends like you to host. The other thing that I was doing travel writing. So I started. So my main purpose to quit my job, apart from traveling and having all these experiences, was to become a travel writer. I had this dream of being a travel writer since I was a young kid, and I think I finally realized that dream when I was traveling, especially the time when I was staying with you guys. I wrote some really interesting stories. So that brought in some money, not a lot, but it brought in some money. It also gave me a lot of how do you say, credibility. Like people were reading that I was writing for Nat Geo, for Forbes Life, etc., etc. So brands were interested. So it built a really good network for me. And the other things was, like I said, bringing your costs down. So I was cooking Indian food wherever I went. So people were friendly. So there are two parts to it. One is, maybe three: saving money, making money, and also bringing down the cost while you're traveling. So you have to do everything that you can. After that, if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's okay. You can keep talking.
So after I came back, I continued to write. So I wrote a lot more than I was writing while I was traveling, because of course it's easier to write when you are stationed in one place for a regular period of time. And I was also taking up some consulting projects in content and PR sometimes while I was continuing to travel. So once I came back to India, I also went to Sri Lanka. I traveled a lot within India as well. Then I think beginning of 2017, I started consulting for a content media company. Like I was trying to set up their office without being stationed in one place. So I did that for almost 8 months while I was travel writing and also consulting. And then the founder wanted me to join them and take it up as a full-time job. So from about November of 2017 till end of 2018, I was actually running that company. And since then, I've been a freelance content writer. I've also taken up content projects for companies. So it's all been like I've made things work the way it can. My focus has always been to travel, to write, and to have a lifestyle which is sort of in balance to what I want to do. I mean, I still have a lot of opportunities to go back and take up a job, but I don't, because I don't think I can go back to the cubicle or go back to a regular career now. I don't enjoy it so much.
So you're still having the freedom, but now you have you are creating routes in a place, but you're still having the freedom to work from anywhere from your computer.
Yes. Yes. In fact, that is one big suggestion that I would like to give to other people. Like I think so even a nomadic lifestyle or wanting to travel or whatever you want to call it, you can work, save, travel, go back work to work and save and travel again. Anything that you do, it is going to take time. You should be open to the fact that it may not work out the way you expect it to. That does not mean that it will not work out. You have to go back and learn whatever you have and then try again. But if there is one suggestion that I can give to people, then it is maybe pick up a skill or pick up some sort of business or skill which can be taken online, which you can try to do from anywhere in the world, and give it some time. Like, maybe if I did this differently, if I, like, what I'm trying to do now is to build up the startup story practice, the business, and I want to do it maybe for the next 2 to 3 years while I'm here in Mumbai, or when I, go to some other cities in India and also some other cities in Southeast Asia, to build this practice. And once it becomes strong enough that I have enough clients and enough name in the industry, then it should not matter whether I am in Mumbai or in some other part of the world. And then it's easier to have the nomadic lifestyle as well. So my wife and I, we also are thinking of or planning to travel together and see a lot of places together. But I think it works better if you pick up a skill, give it a lot of time, build your client base, then the transition is a lot easier. Because if you try to make a nomadic lifestyle work after quitting your job or your career and while traveling, it becomes a lot more difficult, because traveling in itself can be quite challenging. To go to a place, to figure out how you're going to live, what are you going to eat, who are you going to meet, how are you going to spend your time, and on top of that you have to work and figure out how you are going to make a career work. So it can get really stressful sometimes. So if you want to avoid all that, I think it's better to focus on one thing, build it, and then go on to become a digital nomad. That's my suggestion.
And start slowly. Now is a good time to start something, like
Yes.
to start to work through internet or start a new company, a new business or whatever, because now we can't travel, so we have to stay where we are. So it's a good time. You have months to start that, because when you start to travel, everything changes all the time. You're always changing.
Right.
You're always meeting new people. You're always in a different place. So it's hard to keep a routine. Like, it's hard to keep producing. So it's good when you have time to start slowly, like step by step. It's really good. It's really important.
And it's quite it's quite a big challenge to learn a new language as well. And while you are trying to build a business, so it is a really good point, because it's a perfect time to grow something. It doesn't matter if it's gonna be like a company, a business, or just a skill. Just a skill is something enough that sometimes you can earn some money. So yeah, it's a really good time for that. And I guess it's a really good point, because there are lots of anxious people that just want to start now and want to start traveling
and start to earn lots of money.
Yeah. so yeah, it's a really good point, because in our case, we went to New Zealand and we start working for companies, and while we've been doing that, we started to grow and to learn new skills, which we started to see, okay, we probably will be able to earn some money with those skills: photography, content production, video production, and teaching people something that they want to learn. This kind of knowledge is the kind of knowledge that is quite I can't say easy, but it's quite possible to make money from that. So it's a really good time to build this kind of skills, to learn those skills, and develop a kind of way to earn money with that. Because just the skill is not enough. You have to know how to sell yourself. You have to know how to offer your service. So it is a really good time to build that. I guess this is a really good point to say. And okay, you have something to say?
No, I mean, also I think a lot of people think that they want to travel, but at the same time they want to make the same kind of money that they would make in a normal regular career. So of course, if I would have continued to work in public relations here in India, I probably would have made a lot more money in the last 5 years than I have. So you also have to make a choice. So you probably will make good enough money. It is quite possible, but there's no certainty of that. So you have to make a priority that, okay, if you want to travel, if you want to see new places, then you are okay with making less money than you would have otherwise if you had a normal, regular career. Because by the time you start making money, it is going to take some time. So I think some people have the wrong expectation that, okay, I will be able to travel, I will be on the beach all the time, and I will be sipping on martinis or things like that. But at the same time, I will be making equal, if not more money than I was making in my career. So you don't get everything in life. You have to prioritize and choose what you really want. So that's another thing that people need to keep in mind.
You also can mix both, like both lifestyles. You can work, save money, and travel, and
Yes.
make money while you travel as well. Like you can mix both things. Like we met an Australian lady. Remember?
Yeah.
She used to work 6 months per year and to work in Australia, in her home country, and the other 6 months she traveled around the world. So was
writing articles.
Yeah, or writing articles for magazines and whatever. So it's it's a perfect match, I guess, for people who doesn't want to just like sell everything and go to the world.
Yes.
People who need like roots and need to settle down somewhere. So it's a good balance, I guess. It's a good.
Yeah.
It's a different lifestyle. It's different.
That's another option. Like I think a lot of people, like here in India, especially when I'm meeting people, a lot of people have these questions, right? Like they want to know how was I able to do it and how they can travel all the time and make money. So I tell a lot of people that it's better for you to work and save and then travel, because also the point is that, are you ready? Not, it may not be for everyone to keep working while you're traveling as well. Like for instance, some people may find it a bit boring to work while you are in some really beautiful location. You may want to go out, meet people, and have new experiences all the time. So working while traveling is also, I'm sure you realize this, is also very difficult, right? Not just about the routine and about meeting people, but when you are in a new location, in a new place, you are so excited and you want to go out all the time and make the most of your time. So for some people, it may not work to be working while traveling. So yeah, work, you can save, and then you can travel again. There are other options as well. Like for instance, I also tell a lot of young people that if you are not ready for this entire lifestyle of being a digital nomad or building something of your own, there are a lot of opportunities even within careers to go to different countries. Like I have a few friends, what they have consciously, like for instance, if they were building their career here in Mumbai or in Delhi, they would be doing much better for themselves financially. But they've maybe decided that, okay, fine, I'm okay with making 20-30% less money, but I want to live in a different country. So one of my friends works with a media agency. He was working here in Mumbai, but he got an opportunity to work in Africa, in Nigeria, I think, and he took it up. He went to Nigeria. After that, he got an opportunity to work in Indonesia. So right now he's in Indonesia. So like that, I have some friends who are going to markets. Like generally Indians either want to work in India or they want to go to United States or Canada or Australia, much like Brazilians, I guess, because these are more developed markets. These are markets which will give you more money. But smaller markets also have opportunities. It may not pay you as much money, but also, you probably get to be in an industry where you are respected a lot, but at the same time, you have time over the weekends, you have enough leaves to go and explore that country. That's another way. So being an expat is another way of traveling and experiencing new cultures. It doesn't only have to be digital nomad in the traditional sense that you are working out of your laptop everywhere you go.
Yeah,
that's nice. That's nice. Sachin, another question, mate. Since you've been working like for the past years online on the internet, and you've been developing your skills and understanding the needs of this kind of market, the online market, and the different, maybe the different industries inside this market, the different
inside this world, I guess.
Yeah, inside this new world, right? And now you are growing a business to startups, and the question is, what kind of skills and what kind of the different types of work people can do on the internet that you think that would be good to learn now to start a business? What kind of industries, what kind of brands are needing content? Anyway, what kind of focus would you recommend for people starting now?
So I think the question is that you list down all of the skills that you have and the skills that you are ready or wanting to learn, and if these skills can be managed within your own city without meeting a client, it is something that you can manage anywhere in the world, as long as you can manage the time zones. So it's as simple as that. I don't think that you need to think of something completely different, completely something that you don't know, that hey, I can only be a digital nomad if I know how to code. It's not necessary. You could probably, if you like I was in public relations, it was possible to take public relations remote. I didn't want to do that. That's a different thing. You could be writing for publications. Again, you will have to pick and choose and understand how things work. So be very open. Wherever you are getting the money and clients who are ready to pay within what you are trying to do, you should go for that. And apart from that, so writing is one. Social media coaching is another. If you are trying to sell some products online, that's another way of doing stuff. If you are, a lot of companies, I'm guessing now, will be okay with their employees being remote. So you can maybe within a traditional setup or traditional job also try to find a remote this thing. But I think the biggest skill that everybody needs to invest in is the ability to communicate online. Whether it is, so no matter what you do. So if you are somebody who is offering, I don't know, public speaking tips to people or something like that. But if you aren't able to make your own videos and put it up online and build a community and talk to people and convince people about your skills or provide value to them, it is going to be very difficult for you to sell your skills online. So the skills could be anything, but being able to market them online is something that you need to learn. So, videos, blogs, live sessions like these, etc., etc. All these things are the biggest investment that you can make because, like you said, it's a new world, and going forward also, I think these skills will matter even more. So it doesn't matter what your core skill or your core business is. I mean, it does matter, of course, but to be able to communicate or market yourself online is what is going to make the difference between people who are successful or people who may not be that successful, in my opinion.
That's nice. That's nice. That's true. Right. Also, talking about skills, another thing that I guess it's one of the main points to be able to travel and work online with, maybe mainly if you want to earn like US dollar or something that has a good value on the market, like US dollar. Anyways, if you want to travel, I guess the main skill, the first skill, not the main skill, but the first skill you have to know is to learn the language, right?
Yes.
It is really important, really important. And talking about this kind of skill, what kind of tips would you give for the people? Like,
first, how many languages do you speak?
I think about 7 or 8. So it's English, Hindi, Marathi, Tulu, Kannada, Spanish. little bit of Italian. So maybe like 8 or 9, if you count that I could speak a little bit of Portuguese if I'm forced to. A little bit of Italian. If I'm, yeah, and I'm sure that if I come back to Brazil and stay 1 week, I will start speaking at least a little bit of Portuguese again.
Yeah, you used to speak a good Portuguese.
Yes, but after I left Brazil, I've absolutely had no practice. So
yeah, I know.
Eu não falo português muito bom.
But it's still quite good.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of learning a new language, are you asking me what tips do I have for people to how to learn a new language?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me give one tip as well, because I guess it's probably the same or something quite similar. You would say, but for me, the best experience I could get to learn English was a couch surfing, just the way we met, like the way we started learning English. Actually, when we met, I had already a kind of intermediate English, but Leanne didn't know anything.
Yeah,
like, I remember she would not speak in English at all. Wow, now it's great to see that Leanne and I are actually speaking in English. I think that time it was me speaking in Portuguese, and that's how we were communicating, right?
Yeah, like was speaking something between Portuguese and English, like was a mix between both languages.
And for us, was like one of maybe the perfect way to learn English really fast. What we could learn in about 1 month was like way better than years and years learning English in the school or stuff like that. So this is one of the best tips me and Leanne, we can give for people, like host someone in your house or in a room or even in the couch, in the
like couch surfing.
Yeah, and yeah, this is a really good opportunity to make some friends and learn some language.
Practice is the best thing.
I totally agree, and it also makes it so much fun, as opposed to going to a class or sitting in a classroom and trying to understand the structure of the language and all that. So I totally agree. I think the most, like, one of the most fun parts for me while traveling, especially in South America, was speaking or learning new languages like Portuguese and Spanish. And even so, of course, I'm not saying that you have to travel to learn a new language, but when you travel, you are able to speak to people. Like, I remember that once I started speaking Portuguese, the way people were responding to me in Brazil and all that, I'm in Brazil, it was so different. And the funny part is that I also wrote an article about this for a publication, that Tinder also helped me learn new languages, So when I was traveling, because when you want to make conversation with a girl you're attracted to, you make more efforts. And so first you speak on Tinder, then you get on WhatsApp, and then you have to keep translating what you're speaking. And that also was pretty helpful. So even when I went to Colombia, I started speaking a little bit of Spanish when I was in Bolivia and then in Peru, but I think I really got a good hang of Spanish in Colombia. And the biggest credit is to all the dates that I have gone out through Tinder for me to be able to learn Spanish while I was there. So that's another fun way. I think now there are also apps, right? Platforms where you can just speak to somebody in their native language, learn from them while you teach them some other language. So those things are also pretty interesting. People should try that as well.
And it's very important to have contact with different accents as well, because like here in Brazil, the English that we know is the American English. So when we listen to someone from India or from New Zealand, for example, it's really hard when you start to listen that, because it sounds completely different than the American accent. I saw some people commenting here. Let me see the comments. Like, it's really hard. Some people were saying that it's really hard to understand what you're saying because your accent is different. And it's really good to practice. Like,
Okay.
because when Brazilians are speaking in English, like if you are listening to us, it's much easier to understand than listen to someone who is native or who is from another country.
People with second language.
Yeah, with second language is easier. Like, or for us, we have the same accent, so it's easier to understand us. But it's very important to practice your ears to hear from different accents from different countries.
I guess another really good tip is to just like get yourself free, and doesn't matter if you are talking as a wrong way or some weird words, you know, doesn't matter. You need to practice. Just like now, I know that sometimes I'm making mistakes.
Yeah.
And my accent sometimes it's hard to understand.
Your English is perfect.
Okay. Thank you, mate. Thank you. But the main thing is just like go ahead and practice your language, because that's the only way to grow, to make your skill better. So that's I guess that's a really good tip.
Cool. Guys, do you have questions? Perguntas, pessoal? Vamos ver. Let's see what we've got here. Which region is he in India? Sachin?
Mumbai.
Where are you now?
Where are you?
So my home has always been Mumbai. I was born and brought up in Mumbai, which is on the western coast of India. Of course, I think some people may know the city. And it is the financial capital of India. So I'm guessing it's a bit like Sao Paulo of India. And so I've always lived here. My house is here. My mother is here. Now that I'm married, my wife is also here. We live together in Mumbai.
Cool. And are you planning to have kids?
Good question.
No, I'm just asking because someone is asking how to travel with kids, so I'm asking. No pressure.
At the moment, no, and it's not just because of travel. I just don't feel, at least now, and my wife also for now agrees with me that we'd like to, maybe make money, do things, travel for ourselves.
Enjoy.
Enjoy
life.
Enjoy life.
Also, it's like, there's just, when I look at the things that are happening around us, I just feel that it's an extremely difficult world for kids, with so much competition, and you're always taught to prove yourself. Even as parents, you think that you are a good parent only if you are able to send your kids to like a really expensive school. So even if you want it or not, you get into that competition. So for now, we are staying out of this race. But that's my opinion. I completely respect people who want to have kids. So it's not a comment on anyone else. It's our personal opinion. Yeah.
And what about this lifestyle? You think it's possible to travel with kids and still working?
I've seen people who do that. I'm sure it's very, very difficult, and you need to be highly motivated to achieve that, to travel with kids and also keep working and making money. I've seen it. I don't know how difficult or easy it is. I don't think I want to try that.
Me too.
Maybe you have to find some way to have more than 24 hours a day.
For sure.
It's hard because it's lots of things happening. You are in a new place, like exactly the same problems, like not problems, but challenges. Like you are in a different place, you want to see that place, but you have to work and you have to take care of a child. So it's like, oh my God, so many things to do. I guess it would be really hard. But I know some people that travel and still working and have kids. So it's possible. It's not the easiest way to travel with kids, but it is possible. It's still possible.
Yeah.
Cool.
It is not for me, but
we know a famous family from Brazil which are sailing around the world, and the mother are teaching the child like the whole thing, the whole school classes.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess it's quite nice, but it's a big challenge.
How many countries, from Fabio, how many countries he has been traveling? How many countries do you know have you been?
I think I visited 30 countries. I generally don't count. So I just have like it's either 29 or 30.
29 or 30?
That's
30.
Nice. That's nice. That's quite a lot.
That's cool. And what's your favorite country?
Of course, Brazil.
Of course, you could not say another country now. Not today.
No, but I mean it. I mean it. So, for instance, for me, it's always between when people ask me, even here in India, which is my favorite country. Where would I like to go back to? I always say it's either Brazil or Colombia. Like if I have if money is not a problem, then I would definitely want to go back and stay in Brazil. And there are a few like really important reasons for that. I think one is the first thing are the people, right? If you speak Portuguese, then I think that Brazilians are the warmest and the most fun people you will ever meet. It's very easy to make friends, and Brazilians like to party, to go out. So it's, you know, you always have options. It's not like you're going to be sitting alone doing nothing. If you approach somebody, you will always get invited to some place to eat, to drink, to dance. That's number one, people. The second thing I really like is Brazilian music. I just feel that there is so much variety of music. And to me, if anybody asks me, like, which is the country in the world where you would travel to only for music, then it definitely will be Brazil. You know, whether it's bossa nova, whether it is Afro-Brazilian music, whether it is MBP. I mean, I know maybe a lot of people don't like it, but there are some funk songs also that I really like. So I still listen to Brazilian music while working in my home. My wife is always like, you know, what the hell are you playing? Like, what is this? So every time I'm playing some new songs. So music and the food, that's another really important part for me. Like, I don't like going to countries where they don't have good food. Like, I will not go to a country again if I don't know that there is good food. So even in Brazil, there's so much variety, right? Nordeste, the Bahian food is so spicy, and food in Rio is different. So every place has its own particular cuisine and everything. And while I'm married now, so of course I can't go out and meet women, but I also think that Brazilian women are some of the prettiest women in the world. So why not?
You was talking about food. Where was the worst food you ever got?
Good question, man. I think it would have to be, I mean, I don't hold it against the country, but I really didn't enjoy food that much in Bolivia.
Bolivia.
Yeah,
I never tried Bolivian food.
Yeah.
I don't know, but good to know.
maybe if you go to, like, you know, a good restaurant, like, I'm not saying that all food in Bolivia was bad. Like, I did go to good restaurants. They had really good food. But I'm talking about the food that you get generally, like, you know, when you're walking on a street and you're hungry and you go to some place and you just grab a meal. So my experience of, like, I remember this one time in La Paz. It was like late evening. I was really hungry and I wanted to eat something. I walked into a restaurant and I asked for food. So all I got was some like dry rice with pieces of boiled chicken, and there was ketchup with it. And when I was having that, I really asked myself, like, why am I so far away from my country where there's such great food and eating this thing which, you know, like disgusts me. So but again, I'm not holding it against the country. I know that they might be having great food. It's just that sometimes when countries are poor, what you find on the street or the regular kind of food may not be as appealing as in some other countries. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool.
All right, we have a couple of extra questions here from YouTube.
We are finishing, guys, just the last ones. How did you learn so many languages?
So I think for us Indians, especially Indians who live in big cities like Mumbai, Delhi, I don't know if everybody in the audience knows, but India is a country of languages. So we have, so every region, so for instance, if in India, Bahia would be speaking a different language than Sao Paulo, then Rio de Janeiro, and all of that. So every state in India has its own languages, has its own language. And in the big cities, because people from all over the country come and stay, you are exposed to many languages as a kid. And because, of course, you were also colonized by the Brits, so English has become a part of our culture. So when we go to school, we learn English. So generally, in a big city, you will be speaking English because you learn that at school. You will be speaking Hindi because it is the like the
National
sort of the national language of India. You will be speaking a language which is the language of the state, which is again different mostly. And you will be speaking the language of your own family, because like my family comes from South India. So what we speak at home is different from what we speak on the streets, or yeah. So that's how I already know 4 languages. Because of school and because of, and then it becomes a bit more easy when you're traveling, and that's how you're always okay to talk to people. Yeah.
Your brain is already prepared to learn language.
Yeah. And are they all completely different, or are they similar?
They're completely different. They are as different as Portuguese and Spanish. They are completely different.
How is it possible? Can you imagine, guys? Like here in Brazil, we have different languages in the south part, in the northeast, in different states, different languages.
But it's still similar.
But still, no. Can you imagine if we have different?
Oh yeah, yeah. But we already have different accents.
Just different accents. Can you imagine a completely different language? Like
it's how many languages in the whole country?
Yeah, so that's why a lot of travelers find India very fascinating, right? Like if you come to Mumbai, you will be able to speak to people in English, but maybe if you drive 100 kilometers outside of the city, you suddenly find yourself in a place where, you know, nobody understands English, and every 100, 200, 300 kilometers, the language can change. So that way also, it's a very crazy experience to be in India.
I can imagine.
Who was that? Fabio told us here that you have like 1,600 languages in India. Is that all right?
So yes, if you put all the dialects and the tribal languages, all of those together, I think it is possible that we have 1,600. But a lot of these languages may be like on the fringes, spoken by very few people or small communities. But the main ones that I think about, I would say about 20 or 25 main languages which are spoken across the country. Like these languages are very big and very how do you say, they have a big base, like they have their own literature. Like for instance, in the states of South India, there are 4 states. Each of the state has their own language. So it's a bit like, I guess, you know, Latin and the other Romance languages like Portuguese, Spanish, Greek, and all that, that they might be slightly similar in terms of root, but they are different languages. They have their own literature, they have their own movies, and their movie industry is pretty big. It's bigger than most countries' movie industries. So these are not like small languages by any this thing. So there are about 20 big such languages in India, at least.
That's crazy.
That's mind blowing. Mateus is asking, what's the next destination you intend to go?
I mean, I don't know with this entire situation of COVID, I really feel that it will be at least a year and a half before we will be able to travel freely again. At least, you know, I don't know how things go. And honestly speaking, my wife and I, we were discussing, or we were sort of making plans either to, like I really want, of course, you guys know when I was traveling, I was not married, I was single, right? Now I'm always talking about my time in Brazil, in Colombia, to my wife. And she's as excited as I am to go back and meet old friends and countries that I've already seen. So we were honestly thinking of Brazil or Colombia, but we don't know right now. We also went to Mexico last year, and we felt that we just saw so little of that country because, again, that country has fantastic food, great people. So it will be, whenever travel happens again, if it's not in India, then it will be either Brazil or Colombia, in my opinion. If it is something that we do closer to home, then probably it will be Vietnam or Indonesia. So let's see.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's nice. You are more than welcome to come back to Brazil and be in your house. And now we are in the south part of Brazil. I know you haven't been here yet, so I guess it's a good plan. But yeah,
we are just in the border with Uruguay, so it could be a new country.
Two countries.
Yeah,
right,
2 countries. Right. That's good.
2 countries in one trip.
Cool, Sachin. Thank you so much. Do you have more questions?
No, it was just like really good, fantastic to talk to you, mate.
Yeah, we really miss you. It's gonna be really nice if we can meet again.
Yes, I'm sure we will meet again. You guys should make a plan to come to India and, stay with me in my home, and maybe we can travel together as well. I can show you a few places. And I also wish that everybody that you know and your audience, everybody is safe from this crazy virus. And so if there are people within your audience who are interested in sort of connecting with me or wanting to know more about India, about English language, or any of my travel experiences, I'll be more than happy to help them. They can follow me on my YouTube channel, which is Eccentric Sachin. It's ECCENTRICSACHIN. Maybe, Rodrigo, you can add a link to my channel in your description of this video. Is that possible?
Yeah, sure. You can send me the link and I can post on the video later. But I'm writing right now here on the chat. Can you say again?
Can you spell again?
It's Eccentric Sachin. Should I type it out in the Zoom chat? Hold on one second. No, it doesn't work.
Sachin. That's right.
Is that right?
And your Instagram user?
It's the same. It's Eccentric Sachin.
Perfect. Follow him on Instagram, and if you have any questions about India and about everything we spoke today, just ask Sachin.
And whoever.
I'm very accessible on Instagram. If people send me messages, I will be more than happy to talk to them. Yeah.
That's nice.
Cool.
And for
you.
your followers also, if anyone wants to talk to us about Brazil, about New Zealand, about Australia, about wherever country you've been, and talk about trips and learning language, we also are available to talk on the Instagram. O Mundo Trip. Yeah.
Mundo Trip.
and here in this channel on YouTube as well. So feel free to talk to us. Really good, Sachin. Cool. Thank you so much, mate.
Thank you, guys.
It was a lot of fun. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. We'll speak soon.
Bye. See you later.
See you later, mate.